George Washington University president is under fire for saying majority vote wouldn't justify racist genocide. Now, this is possibly one of the stupidest stories I've read this month, maybe this year. This kind of feels like 2016, where we had all of those ridiculous stories coming out, and eventually they got phased out, and it became more normal. And now it seems like the SJWs are going back to that extreme again. Before we begin this video, guys, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of the newest videos, and drop a like on this video since it helps a ton in terms of promoting this channel through the algorithm. Let's begin with the story. Students and faculty at George Washington University are calling for the resignation of President Thomas LeBlanc over a controversial remark he made during a conversation a student during a conversation a student what okay. More than 100 faculty members at George Washington University have signed the petition that calls on LeBlanc to resign over his comments. Now, this is possibly one of the stupidest thing. They called for a resignation, like in previous stories, like the one at Yale, which was a while ago. The guy said that cultural appropriation is stupid and you should enjoy Halloween. Was, I think, one of the teachers in Yale, and he got in a lot of trouble for it. But in this case, this guy actually made an anti-racist statement, and he still got in trouble for it. Let's read on. According to a report by Campus Reform, George Washington University President Thomas LeBlanc is facing calls for his resignation over a comment he made during an exchange with a first-year student in February. When pressed about the university's refusal to divest from fossil fuel industry, LeBlanc offered an unusual comparison. What if majority of the students agreed to shoot all the black people here, LeBlanc said. Do I say, well, the majority voted? No. So basically he made an argument that majority rule is not right all the time, which is a very basic argument to make, and it's most of the time it's right. The fact that most people agree on something doesn't mean that it's right to do. And it shows an anti-racist argument in order to emphasize this point. He said that most of the students, the majority of the students who wants the university to go green, doesn't make it right because it's a majority. Because if a majority goes tomorrow and says we should shoot all black people, we're not going to do it, obviously, because it's wrong. A progressive student organization drafted a petition that calls on LeBlanc to resign. Quote, we released this petition today to make clear to the GW community that expressions of racism from the leadership of the university are intolerable and that we regard President LeBlanc's remark as part of a broader pattern of disregard for democracy and diversity. Now, as far as I know, universities have nothing to do with democracies. At best, they're a government facility for you to use. You don't get to vote on a ton of things. You have student council that can do very minimal change in terms of affecting your day-to-day life. It's eventually down to the dean to make those changes, the president. It's not about democracy when you go to university at all. So I don't know what argument are they trying to make. The petition suggests that George Washington University should replace LeBlanc because the hiring committee that selected him was exclusively white. A president like this who engages, this is a quote, a president like this who engages in activities like these, including making blatantly racist remarks, I think he made an anti-racist remark when he said that if the majority wants us to do something that's bad, we're not going to do it, but okay, is made possible by a lack of shared governance between the board of trustees, faculty, students, and staff. Indeed, Thomas LeBlanc was selected by a committee that completely excluded faculty of color despite the repeated objections of George Washington community members. The petition reads, The George Washington University Faculty Association circulated their own petition that has reportedly received over 100 signatures. LeBlanc apologized for his remarks in a short statement that was released in February. LeBlanc explained that he was trying to make a point about the dangers of majority rule, which it's what exactly happened. Quote, yesterday in a conversation with a student, I attempted to emphasize a point and used an insensitive example. I don't think it was insensitive at all. That I realized could be hurtful to members of our community. I deeply apologize for using that example, LeBlanc wrote. The point I was making that majority rule should never suppress the human rights of others, which came across to me, I don't know how they couldn't understand it, was obscured by the example I used. I regret my choice of words and any harm I unintentionally inflicted on a community I value greatly. Now, this is basically the most egregious case of cry bullies. These guys won't leave him alone even after he apologized, obviously, which is always the thing that happens when you apologize to those SJWs. Now, this guy made zero offensive remarks. Maybe it was a bit it's not even tone deaf. He made a great example. Majority rule can be stupid because if the people say that you should do something that bad like shooting black people and you have majority rule voting on it, you shouldn't do it. I don't know why is it such a bad example. It's not tone deaf, it's not anything. He said shooting black people is bad. That's the most simple form of his statement. Why is it so controversial to say it? I don't know, guys. What do you think? Leave it in the comments. If you want to support this channel and you've stuck around to this point, please consider supporting it through Patreon, Subscribestar, and through channel memberships, which was just recently added. You have a ton of benefits there, like exclusive live streams, credits at the end of the videos, as well as many other things like suggested topics for future videos. Thank you guys for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.